Hey viewers! Welcome back to Get It Now. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe. Let's begin. The FIFA World Cup, the world's most watched athletic event, will take place in Qatar in November 2022. Some estimates place the cost of hosting the World Cup in Qatar at over $220 billion. This is around 60 times what South Africa spent on the $3.5 billion FIFA World Cup in 2010. It is hardly surprising that Qatar may get multiple advantages from hosting an event of this magnitude than 200 countries. In terms of the statistics it produces for everyone participating, the Football World Cup is a significant event. Everyone is happy as long as they receive a share of the billion-dollar revenues, even though FIFA is the only organization in charge of organizing the tournament and has ultimate control over all revenue. The nation chosen to host the World Cup is chosen through a competitive bidding process. As a result, FIFA pays for all World Cup operations expenses, while the host nation is in charge of building new infrastructure like stadiums and transportation systems. In fact, planning such a sizable and well-attended event requires a sizable financial outlay, notably for the creation and improvement of first-rate infrastructure. As a result, if the nation accepts the offer, it will likely attract investors' attention and maybe stimulate the economy. Let's now discuss some fascinating facts. No other event has ever taken place in the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and the Gulf state will host the first World Cup in the Middle East and in a Muslim nation. Some thought FIFA was taking a big risk when it chose Qatar to host the 2022 World Cup of. Others thought it was a mistake, notably Sepp Blatter, the former president of FIFA. Furthermore, the nation had been under air, land, and sea blockades for a number of years by Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. That made it challenging for the nation to complete the majority of the developmental processes. However, the Qatari government corrected the issue by entering into contracts with additional vendors and builders to carry out the projects. Additionally lifted is the transport embargo, and the borders are now open once more. The World Cup final in Qatar in November will be unlike any other, and the logistical difficulties that organizers will face, from having enough housing to managing rowdy fans, will. Now, you probably have a lot of questions right now, like whether Qatar really will spend $220 billion on the FIFA World Cup in 2022. Can Qatar afford to spend more on hosting the FIFA World Cup in 2022 than its GDP? Well, it's quite a bit. Qatar, though, can afford it. Oil and gas are abundant in the tiny nation, which has a population of fewer than 3 million. It is one of the richest nations in the world with a GDP per capita of $62,000, £46,000. Qatar is able to spend more than past World Cup hosts thanks to its financial resources. Even though Qatar's World Cup hosting bill is nearly extraterrestrial, the breakdown of expenses reveals the country's larger objectives for economic diversification. To obtain a comprehensive perspective, let's break out all the costs here. Air-conditioned stadiums will cost a total of $48 billion, while Lusail City's construction would cost $45 billion. A total of $77 billion will go into amenities for soccer players and fans from around the world. Additionally, Qatar has allocated $50 billion for the development of new rail and metro systems as well as for the enhancement of its existing. The $3 billion project will result in the construction of an 85-kilometer railway network that includes an East Coast link, a high-speed link, a freight link, and a light rail system. FIFA's requirement of 60,000 rooms will be far exceeded by Qatar's government, which wants to spend $17 billion to increase its hotel and guest housing capacity to 80,000 rooms. The new Doha International Airport, which is now undergoing an $11 billion expansion, will serve as the main transit hub for the influx of travelers. So, what advantages does Qatar gain from spending such a big sum of money? Qatar wants to host the World Cup for what reasons? To put it literally, Qatar has a special fondness for sports. Numerous international sporting events have been successfully held in Qatar. Asian Games have been held there before. The truth is that they are a wealthy nation because they can afford to host such a huge event. Hosting international events and conferences is one of the ways Qatar's government is constantly seeking for new ways to diversify its economy. The World Cup is a huge international occasion that significantly affects the host nation's economy. Qatar wants to host this event as a result. The fact that Qatar's GDP will increase significantly is another important element. As Qatar's GDP grows, so do productions, revenues, and expenses. According to data from the World Bank, the economy is predicted to grow by 3% over the medium term, helped by continued investments connected to hosting the Football World Cup. In addition, it is anticipated that there will be more investment in the nation as a result of the large number of tourists who plan to return to Qatar and the rising employment rate, both of which will enhance living circumstances for the citizens of the nation. As a result of hosting the 2022 World Cup, Qatar will draw a number of national and international firms to invest in numerous new projects. Numerous local businesses will start up to supply the community with the materials required to finish the projects. These companies will be able to boost their production. Additionally, the production number will change by the end of 2022. Infrastructure that is built to accommodate and amuse visitors will assist the nation economically in a number of ways. According to projections from Qatar, major businesses including construction, real estate, and hospitality will generate more than 1.5 million additional employment as a result of hosting the FIFA World Cup. It's also crucial to emphasize that hosting the World Cup will give Qatar the chance to showcase its tourism industry in addition to the actual event. After the World Cup, it's anticipated that there would be approximately 3.5 million more visitors, with a potential 7.4 million by 2030. As we can see, there is a lot of room for economic expansion in the growth of the service and sports industries. Investments in 12 stadiums and service facilities would assist Qatar in diversifying its economy away from its current reliance on the oil and gas industries and toward the service, tourism, and sports sectors. Finally, by 2023, inflation in Qatar is predicted to stabilize at 2%, up from the current 0.23%. In light of this, it would seem that hosting the World Cup presents a lot of opportunities for a country to diversify its industries and develop its infrastructure and service sectors, thus laying the groundwork for a large increase in economic growth. Furthermore, it goes without saying that Qatar's current development plans and investments in its infrastructure, service, and sports industries have amply demonstrated their potential and forecasted growth. As a result, we can anticipate that both short and long-term growth will be primarily focused on these industries. So, now that we are aware of all the advantages of holding such a sizable event, you may be wondering if there are any risks as well. Controversy has surrounded Qatar's World Cup preparations in 2022. Many people think that Qatar's hosting of the World Cup was connected to FIFA and other political officials being bought off. Qatari corruption allegations have dominated the news in recent months. There are significant human rights concerns arising from the current position of construction workers hired to build the World Cup venues. Human rights organizations are dubious of Qatar's promises to improve the safety and living conditions for migrant workers because no policies have been put into place. The weather should also be taken into account. Even though FIFA moved the competition from its customary June-July schedule to November-December, fans will still have to endure warm weather while traveling between stadiums. The 2022 World Cup will conflict with the Premier League schedule due to the new calendar, which will infuriate many football fans. Then there is the matter of how Qatar will handle having too many hotels and stadiums. Last but not least, because Qatar is cut off from its natural and cultural surroundings, first-time Gulf visitors won't have much to see but sports. Travelers stuck in Qatar may be dissatisfied with their Gulf trip because most of the region's renowned historical sites are in Saudi Arabia and some of the world's best museums are in the United Arab Emirates. So, Qatar's issues are perhaps just beginning. It must overcome huge logistical obstacles and accommodate supporters from all over the world with various cultural and religious values in order to be a successful event. What do you think about this? Is it appropriate for Qatar to hold the World Cup of football? Do share your views in the comment section below. And if you found this video informative and enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button as well. Thank you for watching.